Yeah. So give us like the scoop. Like, how did this? I mean, 20 years in the pallet business.
Yes,
Give me the scoop, the story. How did this come about? I
it's
mean, it's so intriguing to me.
just
Like,
like
what happened?
everything. Yeah, everything like in life, a lot of times it's random and you don't see it coming. I was doing remodeling back in '98 and had a partner. His name was Dane. And one day we went to a job. It was in December, and there was a note on the door. They had to go out of town. The job fell through. We had nothing else to do for the rest of the week. It was a bathroom remodel. And we got back in the car. And I said, "Well, what do you want to do, Dane? We don't have anything lined up." And he said, "Well, let's go pick up some pallets." I go, "What's a pallet?" Um, and he said, "Those wooden things that warehouses use to move stuff around, or they ship stuff out, or they get stuff in." I'm going,
Right.
"Okay, what pallets? All right. Well, anyway, the first place we go to, if my numbers are right, the first place, 1,500 pallets. The first place we went to, it was literally about 7, 8 blocks away from where we were, and we stumbled through the whole process. And back then, believe me, when I'm about to describe, I don't do it like this now, but back then we were having to actually physically load those pallets. I don't know how we got the deal, but we stumbled through it just out of charisma, I guess. But they gave them these pallets to us for free. So
Yeah, they
right
just wanted
there,
them gone.
there's the all right, where else can I get my inventory for free, right?
Yeah.
So back then also we didn't have any business to sell them to. We sold them to a pallet yard, and it was only one style they take, and that particular business had a few different other styles. We didn't know how to deal with it. Regardless, volume, back breaking back in the day. Don't do that anymore, right? Uh, we made some good money. The next day, we come across the place, had a couple thousand pallets. And I'm just like overwhelmed with the amount to start with, because I never noticed them before. So we're only getting $1.50, $2 a piece for them back then. And that, a few days in, I realized we were taking to the pallet yard. I said, "Where are those pallets we brought yesterday?" And I'm going, "Oh, well, they're selling them to a business. Dane, we got to figure out who these businesses are. And we got to go out there and figure this out, because I've never seen a model where I get my product for free."
Right.
So that being the case, I told him to meet me there the next morning. And we're going to start a little journey here and go down this road. And he didn't show up. He was infatuated with this girl. She was quite cute, I have to admit, but he ran off with her. I never saw him again. And I'm stuck here with this idea in my head, trying to figure it out. And that journey started at that point. And now I don't lift pallets. Now I don't sell at pallet yards. I have actual businesses. I get my product for free. I don't warehouse them. I don't sort them. I'm going from point A with a load of pallets that are loaded on my truck by the supplier's forklift driver, driving 3 blocks down the road to a business that needs them, that ships their stuff out. And I'm writing out an invoice just for numbers' sake, 120 pallets times $7. And it takes about 35 minutes to do that process. I just repeat that a few times each morning, take the rest of the day off, go play golf, record music, whatever I want to do that day. And I repeat it, 5 days a week. I actually have somebody who does it for me on Fridays as well. So that's the simplified version of what the business model is. But what you got to know is who these businesses are and what their issues are and their problems are, and which questions, all that type of stuff we could get into.
Yeah. And, and of course there is like the business acumen part of it, like actually managing a business, running a business. I just love the origin story. I mean, again, and I don't want to harp too much on this, but and maybe it's just, I've been having too many of these conversations lately, but it just feels like entrepreneurs in general, it feels like they're just looking for that massive idea rather than
actually.
Go ahead.
It's funny you say that, because actually my whole life I've been trying to figure out something more simple. Remodeling houses is not simple. There's a lot of things can go wrong. I was working for a tyrant, for a couple of family-owned businesses at one point, and I realized I cannot work for anybody. I don't want to work, especially the type of people I was working for. And I remember saying to somebody back in the early 90s, if I could just, I wouldn't care if I had a hot dog stand and I was buying low and selling high. Just, I'm all about keeping it simple with the high profit, keeping my life simple. But these pallets ended up being like my hot dog stand that I'd been looking for. But I was getting them for free, or they were paying me to take them away, large quantities, and then selling them. So it was even better than that. And once I found it, you know, I always related to that story, and I said I gravitated toward it and grabbed hold of it. And I'm grateful to this day that I didn't go after that grandiose, complicated stuff. People now, right? And having to figure out the stuff on the internet, that's grandiose and hard. It's very difficult to learn all this stuff as far as the online stuff goes. I'll take the pallets any day.
Yeah. So, I mean, I can only assume, like, I'm just kind of mentally walking through like your first big sale with the pallets. I mean, there has to have been a moment where you were like, oh, that was kind of cool. And then like this curiosity of, okay, hang on a second. Could I actually do this full time? Like, can I leave the remodeling business entirely? Like, what was that like?
I never went back, you know, because I went crazy at first, not the right way. I was doing it wrong back in 1998. I only knew about that one size pallet, or thought that's the only thing that was feasible. So I was painting myself in corners and all that kind of thing, but I dove in the deep end. And I literally would get up in the morning. That morning he didn't show up. I saw 40 businesses that day. I saw 40 businesses the next day. I didn't know what to say. I didn't know what the questions to ask. I didn't know what the problems were. I was trying to figure that out along the way, right? And I screwed up some great deals that I should have had. But regardless, at the end of that week, I had 12 suppliers and 6 buyers. Okay. And it was very stressful because of the way I'd set it up, unlike what I do now, right? The way I go about it. But that being said, those accounts added up to around $80,000 in accounts per year, right? And I just worked it from that point. So I was only making about 78,000 doing remodeling back then. So yeah, I never went back. I never had to. It was a life-changing type scenario, and I just had gotten a taste of being a business for myself, working with Dane, and away from working from somebody else. So yeah, I just dove in the deep end, and it took me years to really perfect the model the way I do it now.
Sure.
A lot of learning about this particular industry, where I can actually consult businesses instead of I got pallets, you need pallets. There's a lot more to it at this point.
Yeah. Well, and I know you have some online content that people can opt in for to just learn from you and kind of understand some of these concepts. And again, those you were listening, you can check out the Simplest Biz for You. That's with the letter U.
Well, they actually can go now. They can go to the simplestbiz.com too. Now.
Oh, great. Okay, perfect. Well, so when you started like explaining this to like relatives, family, I mean, was anyone in disbelief? Like, or I mean, did people like call you like the pallet guy, or like
I named myself the Pallet King at first, and I had people like, is this really real? You know, I had one guy who was like my tormentor. You're just stealing pallets. Or so, well, how many pallets did you steal today? Right? That never steal. These businesses that we're dealing with they want them gone. They are a nuisance. They are a problem.
Yeah.
And they're a rat infestation. They're a fire hazard, you know. But some people didn't realize that. And here's the thing, it's such an out of left field business. People I would tell it to going, really? They got their attention, you get them for free. And here's what also happens. You tell people about this and they never notice it. They've never noticed it before. And then they go out and every day they start seeing them. Tons of them. They're all over the place. They're just invisible. So part of me kept this under my hat for years. And I told my family and, a couple friends at all. But here's the funny story is I had other people, I didn't tell anybody anything about it. And I had other businesses as well, because it allowed me time to build out some other type businesses, because I'd be done at 9:30, 10 in the morning. So the story of how I started telling people about this is kind of funny, because I had a friend come over from Atlanta and on some other business. And I went, oh crap, I got a couple of deliveries to do. And he goes, what are you talking about? And I'd known him for a couple of years. So again, I kept it under my hat. And he rode around with me We pulled in a couple of $1,000 in a couple hours. And he turned to me, he said, "This is brilliant. Will you teach me how to do it?" So there's that other light bulb moment, you know, and you're going, wait a minute, why should I have all the fun? I should teach other people how to do this. That started that whole journey of the course and stuff that I teach other people.
Yeah. So, you know,